Hello everybody and welcome back to One Nerd to Rule Them All. Today we journey back to the First Age, long before the world we know was reshaped, to discover the stories of the Edain, the first men to cross the Blue Mountains into Beleriand. We will explore the three houses of the Edain, the House of Beor, the House of Haleth and the House of Hador. Together, they played a crucial role in the Great Wars against Morgoth, forged bonds with the elves, and left a legacy that shaped the later history of Numenor and beyond. So sit back as we step into the mists of time. The word Edain comes from Sindarin, the tongue of the Grey Elves, meaning second people, the elves being the firstborn. When the men awoke in Hildorian, they began wandering westward. After generations, some reached the land beyond the Blue Mountains, into Beleriand, in the days when the sun was still new. These early men, the Edain, became great allies of the elves of the west. Among them, three noble houses emerged, each with their own customs, languages, and fates. Let's begin with the House of Beor, the loyal and the steadfast. The House of Beor is the eldest of the three houses, known for their loyalty, endurance, and tragic fates. The followers of Beor were the first to cross the Blue Mountains. They entered Osiriand at around 310 of the First Age. They were welcomed by the Green Elves, but soon moved north, drawn by rumours of the great elf lord Finrod Felagund. It was Beor the Old himself who first met Finrod, serving him so faithfully that the elf lord called them the Faithful. In return, Finrod guided them to dwell in Estelad. The House of Beor quickly formed the closest bonds with the Eldar, especially the House of Finarfin. Many from this house served in the lands ruled by Finrod, and later by his brother Angrod and Angnor in Dorthonion. Now let's look at some of the most famous figures of the house, starting of course with Beor the Old. He lived nearly 100 years, a great age for men at this time, and served Finrod until his death. Then there's Barahir, grandson of Beor. He refused to abandon Dorthonion when Morgoth's forces invaded, and his band of 12 fought as outlaws. Barahir was gifted the Ring of Barahir by Finrod, which would one day come to Aragorn. Of course, equally as famously, there is Beren, son of Barahir, one of the greatest heroes of the First Age. Beren's love for Luthien led to the retrieval of the Silmaril from Morgoth's crown, an act that shaped the fate of Middle-earth. Now let's look at the fall of the house. During the Dagor Bagalak, the Battle of Sudden Flame, Angrod and Angnor were slain, and most of the House of Beor perished defending Dorthonion. Those who survived fled south to Bethil, or sought refuge amongst other peoples. Now let's have a look at the House of Haleth, the independent and the brave. The second house is the House of Haleth, known for their fierce independence and love of the forest. They came after the House of Beor, led originally by Haldad. They were a reclusive people, dark-haired and stern, and kept themselves even after settling among the Eldar. They spoke a different dialect, showing they had wandered separately for a long time. Whilst they were camped in Thargelion, they were suddenly attacked by orcs. Haldad and his son Haldar were slain defending the stockade. His daughter, Haleth, took the command and held out until Caranthir, one of the sons of Feanor, came to their aid. Caranthir offered them lands under his protection, but Haleth refused. She led her people west, seeking freedom. They settled into the forest of Brethil, between Sirion and Terglin, granted by King Thingol on the condition that they guard the crossings. The Haladin loved the woods and lived apart even from other Edain. They did not become great lords in the service of the Noldor, but kept their ways. Now let's look at notable figures. Of course, we couldn't mention this house without mentioning Haleth herself. Revered as the Lady of the Haladin, she never married, and after her death, she was buried in the Hadul in Arwen, the Lady Barrow. Later, her people sheltered Turin Turambar during his tragic wanderings. The third and greatest in power was the House of Hador, also called the House of Marach. They were the last of the Edain to arrive, crossing the Blue Mountains around the year 341. They were tall, golden-haired, and powerful in build, renowned for their mightiest warriors among men. Their leader, Marark, settled in Estelad, but later generations moved north. Hador Lorindol, the grandson of Marark, was given the land of Dor Lomin by Fingolfin, High King of the Noldor. The House of Hador served as the shield of the Noldor in their wars against Morgoth. Now let's look at famous figures, starting of course with Hador Lorindol, a mighty lord who died defending Ithil Sirion. Then we have Galdor the Tall, son of Hador, who continued his father's legacy. Then we have Hurin Thalion, mightiest warrior of men, who stood against Morgoth, captured and cursed, forced to watch the ruin of his kin. Then we have Hur, brother of Hurin, who died at the Nimrath and Doniad, and whose son, Tuor, would later wed Idril of Gondolin. The legacy. From the house of Hador came Tuor, father of Erendil the Mariner, whose sons, Elros and Elrond, would shape the Second and Third Age. The blood of the house of Hador flowed in the kings of Numenor. Though Morgoth's shadow fell heavy on the Edain, their bravery changed the fate of Middle-earth. Through Beren and Luthien, and through Tuor and Idril, came Erendil, who had begged the Valar for aid, leading to the War of Wrath. From Erendil's sons came two lines: Elros, the king of Numenor, ancestor of Aragorn, and Elrond, lord of Rivendell. Thus the blood of the Edain touched every great destiny thereafter. The story of the Edain is a tale of courage and loss, hope and doom. They crossed into lands unknown, became brothers in arms with the elves, and faced the Dark Lord himself. Their houses fell, but their deeds echoed through ages. Whenever we read of Aragorn, Elrond, or the White Tree of Gondor, we remember the Edain, the first men of the West. If you enjoyed this journey into the First Age, like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future content like this. In the description, you will find a link to my other channel called Nerdy Miniatures, where if you enjoy my Warhammer content, you'll enjoy that, because it's where I build, paint, and was going to be batting my Warhammer armies. So if that's more your cup of tea, then please feel free to have a look at that. Until then, may the stars shine bright upon your path, and I will see you next time. Bye for now, guys.